Welcome to the RCSA. The following clip from September's webinar delves into living roofs and pool construction.
So now just running onto the roof, I explained the kind of pole structure that we used on top. These again are the poles that have been in the boron bath, the Salignite poles. And then on top of that pole structure, we used that 32 marine ply on top, and there were actually two boards, one way and one the other way. And that created the structure for the roof. And then over on top of that, once that was all done, we put on a torched on waterproofing product, and that's what you see here. And so that created a waterproofing layer, a kind of a melted layer as such across and around the whole structure. We did have openings for where the water would run off into kind of gutter systems. We used the big chain system that you saw, and so that was built up around the bottom. There's about a 3-degree pitch on the top side of the roof, and then not more than a 22-degree pitch on the rest of the roof. And then on top of this waterproofing structure, we put on a dimple drain, which is essentially, for those that don't know, it looks like Lego pieces, the top of a Lego piece. You put that down and it enables the water to kind of run between it. And we have very effective drainage system. The water doesn't sit on the roof at all. And then on top of that, we put a soil layer, so it would stop the soil going through. It only allows moisture through it. And then we created a grid structure with these beams to be able to hold the soil a little bit across the roof. And so you'll see on the left-hand side there, we've got the soil going up onto the roof with the grid structure on top of the soil material. And probably the hardest part about this was, I think when we had kind of conceived this and designed this, I hadn't really thought what a 300-odd square meter garden would really look like and be able to build it. And so we ended up with about 60 cubes of soil that sit on top of the roof. It's a fairly thin layer. It's probably about 10 centimeters deep. And we went with a plant called picturesque. But getting that soil up onto the roof, it all went up bucket by bucket, 60 odd cubes of it, laid down, planting happened. And then we went through we put a netting, a biodegradable netting on top of it. It's like a hessian that goes on top to kind of hold the soil. And that slowly, so at the moment that doesn't exist anymore. The plectranthus plant, it's a semi-succulent. It does require watering, but with the river nearby, we can take water from the river. We don't have to use a lot of water, but with a very shallow soil, it doesn't take much to kind of get it wet. But the key consideration around the plant selection was, what do baboons not eat? They spend a lot of time kind of visiting the homes and spend a lot of time on the roof. And so if you've got succulents up there that during the dry season they're interested in, or any plants that they might be interested in, you end up with them just kind of destroying the roof. And so the plectranthus is a plant that's avoided by most animals unless it's really, really harsh conditions. So at the moment, we're starting to see them through this kind of dry period going for it, but the baboons are still avoiding it, which is good news for us. And then it was naturally inhabited by grasses through the soils that we kind of brought in. And so we do have some grass growing on the top, kind of ad hoc on the roof. Then for the pool, we went for a living pool. And this was quite a process. Justin built the pool for us. Essentially, we had a kind of a swimming area that we created with a shallow end where you see I'm kind of crouched down on. And then around it, we had the living area where we would do all the planting and the planting medium. And so generally you need about at least 50% of the pool dedicated to plants and the other 50% for swimming. And we have a dual kind of pump system. I won't go into too much detail here, but essentially we circulate the water continuously with a very small pump, which runs through a separate filter to a conventional pool filter. But we have that as a backup, and I do run that for about an hour a day on the solar in the middle of the day, just to keep that circulation really going. Then in the living area, you plant a system where with the pipes at the bottom, the water actually gets pushed through and up and through this medium. Underneath the latter poles that you see that we placed on the right, we did, you hang a kind of the material that you find in your couches, and essentially that creates a massive filter area. On top of that, you put a gravel layer, and you plant just directly into the gravel system. And so, as I mentioned, the water is actually coming up through this and over into the swimming area of the pool. And to date, we haven't had a green day of a pool. It's been crystal clear from day one. So we've been very happy with the pool and what it's created. And yeah, probably cleaner than that Olifants water that you see in the background there. It does have a biofilm layer, so it is kind of slippery, but if you can deal with that, you get beautiful water for swimming in.
Thank you for watching this short clip on the RCSA's Crafting a Natural Home webinar. Like and subscribe for more inspirational content.